Hey gorgeous souls, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos today. So if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Emma and I'm an award-winning life coach and mentor, 2 times best-selling Law of Attraction author, Law of Attraction YouTuber here. And of course I have my podcast, Spiritual Queen's Badass Podcast 2, which is the #2 spirituality podcast on iTunes. So welcome, and I really hope you're going to enjoy not only this video, but the abundance of videos here on my channel over the last 6 years as well. So today is a really highly requested topic, and I loved this suggestion when it came in because I thought, do you know what? I've spoken about this in podcasts. I've spoken about it like briefly in videos before, but I've never done a really focused, dedicated imposter syndrome video. So I thought, no, it is time and it is going to be epic. And ironically, at the end of last week, we also had Johnny Lawrence, who is a self-development coach, come into the Manifestation membership, and he did a whole flipping like half-hour segment on imposter syndrome and shared some beautiful reframes that I was like, oh my God, screenshot. I need to share this with people. This is an amazing way to look at it. So I'll be sharing some of Johnny's suggestions in there as well. But from my perspective, imposter syndrome, I think, is something which we all experience throughout our life in different ways, in different intensities. And I really think it's a really interesting concept, because why do we experience imposter syndrome? What causes it? And why do so many of us have it? And why? Like, why, I think a lot of the time is the question. And how can we move through that imposter syndrome? How do we allow that to not impact us? And I think I've always been hesitant to do a video on it because obviously there's so many different root causes that can impact our imposter syndrome. So of course I can share what imposter syndrome is, I can share some of the causes, I can share tips, tools and advice, but everybody's root of what is causing that through that limiting belief, fear or trauma will be different. So that is where not one shoe fits all, but it will help you to identify and hopefully shine some light and hopefully reframe as well what imposter syndrome is and how we can look at it a little bit different. So I'm going to be sharing some spiritual insights on this, inner child insights on this, and also what Johnny shared from a really practical mindset point of view, which I thought was a fantastic way to look at imposter syndrome as well. So imposter syndrome is that feeling that we have within ourselves where sometimes we're like, who am I to do this? And I think I've definitely felt that throughout my life, numerous points. When I first started my couponing business 10 years ago, I literally, as soon as I got asked on This Morning and started doing like crazily wild things and the business really took off, I thought, but who am I to do that? I'm just Emma, like Martin Lewis exists, all these incredible money saving experts exist. Like, who am I to do that? And I really felt like I should not be here. And I remember like sitting on This Morning or like doing TV shows and doing press articles and giving people money saving advice nationally. I really did think a lot of the time, I should not be here. Like, I'm the girl who didn't even get a maths GCSE. I'm the girl who walked out of a banking manager role because I had depression. Like, I should not be here. And I think it really took a powerful reframe from myself to really enjoy that career and really think, no, why not me? And I think that's a really good question to ask yourself when you're thinking, why me? Think, actually, why not me? I have something to bring to the table. Now, obviously that comes with confidence, and of course that comes with experience. Like, lived experience for me was realizing, actually, I do have a lot to contribute to this conversation. I do have a lot to contribute and bring to the table of money saving. And then when I started this business, I definitely had imposter syndrome again, because then I was like, but who am I to talk about the law of attraction? You have and Jerry Hicks, Rhonda Byrne, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, like all these incredible teachers. Who am I to talk about law of attraction? And I think what I came to learn was, well, actually, all of those people are fantastic. Gabby Bernstein, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, and Jerry Hicks, Rhonda Byrne, they're all great. But those teachings are old now, And it's 2022, obviously it was like 2016 at the time. And I was like, what I can bring to the table is my fresh perspective of the law of attraction, of what's actually helped me. And from just embracing and embodying that, I realized, well, actually people do get a lot of value from my content. People do get a lot of value from my teachings. And then when I came to write my books, oh, the imposter syndrome came in there as well of, but who am I to write this book? Who am I to write Positively Wealthy? Who am I to write a book on Hurt, Healing, Healed? I am not a psychologist. I am not Gabby Bernstein or Wayne Dyer or Louise Hay. And all these thoughts came through my head, but instead I kept reframing it of why not me? My publisher would not want this book if it was shit. Like, my publisher would not want to publish this if it was a rubbish book that would not help anybody. Like, it costs them money. They have to pay me as well. They need to make sure it's going to sell and then it's going to be good. I wouldn't have the followers I have if it was rubbish and, I didn't share anything new or anything helpful. And I think that has come through experience. That has come through time and experience, definitely. But also with that reframe of every time that why me, that why not me. And imposter syndrome is so common. Like, the amount of people who come to me in my one-to-one sessions who want to start a business, want to do similar to what I do, write a book, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, be a coach, whatever it is, all of them come to me and say, but there's so many coaches out there, but there's so many YouTubers, but it's a saturated market. And it's really thinking, okay, well, that's imposter syndrome again, just disguised as something slightly different than why me. It's actually, well, it still is the why me question, isn't it? And it's actually really interesting because it's like, why not you? There are 7 billion people on this planet. Not every single person is going to resonate with Rhonda Byrne or Gabby Bernstein or Wayne or me or anybody, right? So the way that you tell it, the way that you teach it, the way that you develop your own tools and modalities will be unique and will resonate with people. So the more people that are sharing the law of attraction, manifestation, whatever, the more people are going to find out about it and it's going to help them in their life. So there's room for everybody. And I think that's one thing that I think is society-driven conditioning of there's not enough seats at the table, where actually there is enough seats at the table, but it's reframing that into why not me? And actually, I can bring something to this conversation as well. And yes, that takes a lot of belief work sometimes for some people. Yes, that takes confidence, but I actually think it comes down to self-worth as well. And I feel like when your self-worth is there and it's embodied, imposter syndrome feels a lot less intense. And you might have those, moments of, ooh, should I be here? But then you're like, no, I do deserve to be here. So I feel like self-worth was probably one of the biggest parts of my imposter syndrome healing journey, I would say. And I feel like it's always been work. Do I feel I've had it in personal life? I feel like I've had it in small moments of comparison, maybe more than imposter syndrome. But I think work has definitely been the clear indicator of imposter syndrome sometimes. So self-worth, I believe, definitely, maybe not for everybody, but I feel definitely in my journey and probably in a lot of people's journeys, is the root cause of imposter syndrome. Comparison is also another one, because we're comparing ourselves to somebody else. We're saying, but Martin Lewis already exists, but Gabby Bernstein already exists. And it's like, but you can't compare people together. You can't compare your journey to anybody else's. You can't compare your expertise to anybody else's unless you were like literally copying someone word for word or like impersonating them. Like, everybody is different and you can't compare. What is the saying? Like, you can't compare to, is it flowers? Oh God, the blooming analogy is like completely gone from my head, but you can't compare two things together that are completely different and expect the same thing. So it's really about saying, okay, yes, these people exist. Yes, 7 billion people exist, but the way that I can contribute to this or the way that I bring this to the table is different. And you don't need to compare yourself against anybody, because when comparison's the thief of all joy, as we know, but one reframe that I really loved, which Lucy Sheridan shared on my podcast years ago when she came on, was good for you and the same for me. And I think that's such a powerful reframe of comparison, because it's saying like, good for you and I'm attracting the same for me as well. So good for you and the same for me. And I feel like saying that helps me to reframe comparison a lot. So imposter syndrome can really be so intense for a lot of people. And I know it has been crippling for a lot of people over the years, where they've not taken any action with their business, or they've not taken any action with anything because that belief is coming through. So what is imposter syndrome? Well, it comes from the good old inner child. If you're a regular follower to my work, I believe that the inner critic, the ego, is our inner child. And it's that child version of ourselves that remains in our subconscious, our psyche, throughout our whole life. I've got so many videos on inner child work and what it is and what the inner child is, so please go check that out. But essentially, that inner child is within us, operating the control center. So when you get that promotion, when you are in a place of like, wow, like I've manifested this, or wow, like this is an incredible opportunity, the inner child is like, whoop, nope, let's not trust this, because Martin Lewis exists, because Gabby Bernstein exists, because all these things exist, Emma, and you're not that. And it's the inner child trying to keep us safe. So what I tend to do is lovingly talk to my inner child and say, well, why not us? Why do we not deserve that? Of course we deserve this. We've worked so hard for this. Like, this is an incredible, amazing opportunity. Like, let's celebrate it, and let's celebrate every single other person as well. Because when you celebrate others, when you celebrate, it reframes and instantly shuts down that inner critic, ego, inner child. So what I really loved about what Johnny shared in our manifestation membership, the theme was alignment and goals, so not imposter syndrome, but what he was talking about of why we don't achieve our goals is because of imposter syndrome. And that can turn up as anxiety, as depression, as perfectionism, self-doubt, and fear of failure. And I thought that is a great way to determine how we have imposter syndrome. And that can come from anxiety of like, oh my God, I've got this talk to do. Like, am I going to be any good? It can come from that fear of failure. Absolutely. Perfectionism. Oh, tick, tick, tick for me, definitely in the past. So as Johnny was sharing this, I was like, oh my God, like this is so true. Like I have absolutely ticked so many of those things off that list over the years. But what I really liked, and I'm going to share it because I took a screenshot of it. Again, this is from Johnny's School of Self-Development, was actually how we can reframe imposter syndrome as a sign of success. And I thought, yes, reframe it into that celebration, a sign of success that you have achieved something. And now you're feeling like, oh, me? How have I got here? So actually, yes, a sign of success, and that you want to achieve success as well. Like that's a great motivation to have, of like, you're motivated, you want to achieve that. That's incredible. And we should celebrate that. Passionate, not petrified. I thought, again, that's a great word to use, passionate, not petrified, because then again, it's reframing it into you are taking steps, you're showing up, you're doing this. So you're passionate about this because you want to help people. You want to achieve whatever it is. You want to write that book, help that person. That's passion, and passion should be celebrated. Like passion is a good thing, and passion is what we need at the core of motivation as well. So passion's a great way to reframe imposter syndrome. Next was respect for your peers. You respect your peers that much that you're like, oh, me? And I thought, again, great way to reframe it, because that is showing respect for your peers, that you respect their work and see it with such high regard that you're like, me? So respect for others or respect for your peers is a great quality to have, and a great positive to look at imposter syndrome with. And finally, pushed your limits. So again, you're pushing your limits, you're pushing yourself out of that comfort zone, which of course is going to make you feel uncomfortable at some points. It makes us all feel uncomfortable. Pushing our limits, when we stay in that comfortable space, we can start to stagnate. It's very comfortable, it's reliable. Our inner child, inner critic, ego loves comfort, loves that comfort zone. But when we push our limits, we're then taken into that unknown. And that is where imposter syndrome happens, because the inner child is like, hang on a minute, are we safe? I can't control this. Like, are you sure, Emma? Are you sure that's going to be okay? Are you sure we've got this? So really what that, it is pushing your limits, and it's saying, well done, you've pushed your limits, that your imposter syndrome is coming up. But it's also about reframing it with the inner child and saying, it's okay, I've got this, I've got us. We're going to do amazing. We're here. We've achieved this. Like, let's celebrate it. So the more you can turn and reframe that imposter syndrome into celebration, into appreciation, into gratitude and respect for your peers, for passion, for a sign of success. Like, all of these things are fantastic ways to reframe your imposter syndrome. Now, when we work through it in the inner work, obviously there will be a reason for that in the subconscious. So in your psyche, in your subconscious, obviously where the inner child is, there will be an event or situation throughout your life that has triggered up that imposter syndrome. So like I said, this is why the root of like what is actually causing imposter syndrome will be different for everybody, because everybody's experiences are different throughout life. So I can't say like this is the age it happened or this is the thing that happened for you, because everybody's will be different and it needs to be worked on in different ways. So you can do some exploration with imposter syndrome and sort of ask yourself questions of like, what am I fearing? Like, why do I feel like an imposter? Why do I not feel good enough? Why do I not feel worthy of this? Some great questions to ask yourself to start to dive into where that is actually coming from and how you can work to release that. So I think imposter syndrome needs to be reframed as almost like a celebration of like, celebrate that you have it, because it means you're pushing your limits. It means you're succeeding. It means you are achieving what you wanted to achieve. And it means you're passionate. So I feel like all those things are massive reasons to celebrate, and massive reasons to think, actually, I can celebrate my imposter syndrome and think, actually, why not me? And maybe you could even journal on why not me as well, around maybe it's work, maybe it's career, maybe it's your business, maybe it's your relationship or whatever in your life you're feeling that comparison or imposter syndrome with. These are some great journaling prompts that you can work with to start to dive into what is causing that. But I would love to hear your thoughts on imposter syndrome as well. I don't think there's one human being on this planet who hasn't experienced imposter syndrome. And I feel like that's because of society. I feel like the societal conditioning really is deeply ingrained of us to compare, to compete. It's all part of that like masculine or, unbalanced masculine energy. Whereas the balanced feminine energy is there is enough seats at the table. Everybody has a seat and everybody is needed and everybody's expertise is needed. There is room for everybody and there's room to celebrate everybody as well. And just by reframing imposter syndrome into those examples that I've shared with you, you will see massive shifts. The more you talk to your inner child and reassure them and give them that love. Like if a small child or your own child came up to you and said, I don't feel like I should be here in this opportunity. Like, what would you say? You're like, what are you on about? Of course, you've worked hard. You deserve it. You're amazing. So tell yourself that. Tell your inner child what you would tell a child or your own child. If they came up to you with that comparison, with that imposter syndrome or that, with that worry to you, because the more you reframe it with your inner child over 21 days, that is going to start to embed and you're going to start to feel shifted. You're going to start to feel different. And the more you can celebrate your imposter syndrome, as weird as that is to celebrate, you can see it as exactly how Johnny described, the sign of success. That you're passionate, that you respect your peers, like all of those are fantastic qualities, and that you are pushing your limit and you are getting there and you're achieving amazing things. So a task for you today as we wrap up is to write an appreciation list for yourself. So instead of focusing on the imposter syndrome, I want you to write an appreciation list for yourself. And on that list, you're going to write all the things down that you're proud of yourself for. So all the things you appreciate or want to celebrate that you've achieved throughout your life. So this doesn't have to be went to university, got an award, got a raise at work or a promotion at work. This can be going to therapy and addressing my inner work. It could be walking away from a toxic relationship. Like, I want everything and anything on that list, because it doesn't just need to be validation in terms of accolades, awards, big life milestone events. It can actually be as simple as asking for help, and you want to celebrate that for yourself. So everything put on this appreciation list and let me know how you feel afterwards. Keep your appreciation list. You don't need to burn it or anything. Keep it so you can look at it often. Maybe put it on your spiritual altar or in your manifestation box or on your vision board, and celebrate yourself today, because the fact you have imposter syndrome means you're pushing your limits, means you're doing some great stuff, and it means you are working towards your goals that you have wanted. So yes, there could be some inner work that you need to do with that, of course, with beliefs, etc. But try what I've mentioned today, and then obviously you can take it deeper with my next book, Hurt, Healing, Healed, that comes out on October the 11th, which helps you to release limiting beliefs, fears, and blocks to supercharge your manifestation. But let me know your thoughts on imposter syndrome, what you found to really help, and whether you're going to try these tips from this video. And yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this. So thank you so much for suggesting it. And of course, if you have any other suggestions of videos you want me to do, please let me know in the comments too. So thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all. And don't forget you can join my free Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls, where we talk all things Law of Attraction and spirituality. I hope you have a fantastic week, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you all in my next video, which will be on Friday. Lots of love.